will share technology that has completely transformed my way of trading and even my life.
To enable users using seasonality in whichever platform. And I love the combination with AlgoCloud at the moment.
In my seasonality trading, the general win rate is above 70%.
Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Christoph Zenk. I'm co-founder and CEO of Seasonax, and we have a very special webinar today. First of all, we'll talk about seasonality and Seasonax, of course, but there's also a very special topic which we want to address today, and it will be showcases around Seasonax and the combination of Seasonax with different platforms. And therefore, I have a very special guest today, and it is Michał from Poland, who is a trader who is currently running fully automated strategies in the US stocks and ETFs. He has many years of experience, and we know each other since quite a while. So I'm very pleased that he could join this webinar. And I will hand over to you, Michał, to do a short introduction of yourself and what people can expect of today's webinar.
Thanks, Christoph. Great to be here. Yes, I can suggest staying with us today because we will share technology that has completely transformed my way of trading and even my life. And I hope it could do the same for you. But about me, my trading journey started about 9 years ago. I tried several styles along the way. I began with value investing and technical analysis. Then moved into futures and more institutional way order flow trading. Also, I spent a year day trading stocks in the trading room with quite experienced team. And after all those attempts, I realized that what I really prefer is to gravitate to systematic trading. And I like simple, data-driven ideas that can be properly tested, combined with different strategy styles into portfolio, and executed consistently. And the key point is that you don't have to be even programmer, because I'm not a programmer, to do this well if you are using the right tools and the right process. And in my strategy development, I built and backtest strategies on large universes like S&P 500, Russell 1000, Russell 3000 even. And because my trading is automated, I can trade multiple strategies and styles at the same time. I'm using momentum, trend following strategies, reversal strategies, breakouts, gaps, and seasonality, of course, at the same time. We started working seriously with seasonality about 5 years ago, and since then we have traded about 500 seasonality-based setups, both pure seasonality and also combination with another conditions. And we did also deeper research and stress tested the seasonality patterns on over 1,000 US stocks. With walk forward and out of sample checks over 30 years period, and we compared the out of sample result to the benchmark. Based on that research, I can say that seasonality edge on the long side we tested is real. It doesn't mean that the seasonality works all the time, but it works enough of the time to have an edge and to try add this edge to the trading or investing in the long run. And what matters for me, it is turning this seasonal wind, I call it seasonal wind, into something you can validate, you can automate and run in your real trading. And that's exactly what I plan to show you today during this session.
Well, thanks, Michael, for the introduction to this session. Practically, we will do different things. Like, we will show you how you can translate the seasonal edge into a clear set of rules and how to validate them properly. And the second thing is, Michał will show you how you can end-to-end, like with minimum manual work can make seasonality work for you in an automated way. Before we get there, I would do a little introduction on seasonality and Seasonax in general, show you some use cases, and then hand back to Michał. Because our mission is pretty simple. Actually, we try to enable traders globally to have a seasonal edge in their trading. And how do we do that? We publish content, which means we have the website, we do season insights, we do trading ideas. We try to support you to understand seasonality and be able to use it. That's the one thing. And the second thing is that we create tools which you can use to easily identify and evaluate patterns within instruments. And therefore, we will now start with a short presentation. Because today we will mainly take a look at how to unlock seasonality for algo trading. First part, we will try to figure out what are traders looking for, at least from our perspective. The second thing will be the definition of seasonality from our perspective. And then we will do an introduction on what is a seasonal chart and how can you use that. The second part, as already mentioned, will be use cases, like really hands-on how you can apply that knowledge. And we will do two Seasonax internal use cases. The one is single asset analysis. Like if you get a tip, for example, you want to figure out, is there a seasonal opportunity at the moment? The second is identifying seasonal opportunities in a specific market, for example. And the third part will be covered from Michał, then focusing on algo trading with seasonal patterns. The easy rule which we try to follow is there's two things. Like you want to find interesting opportunities with not that much time to spend on. Like analysis can be easy, and that's something we try to make possible during over the Seasonax application. And the second thing is timing in general. Like when do I have to invest? When should I stop trading? And if you combine those two, you will probably be a really successful trader. And this formula is pretty easy, and we try to make that possible for you with Seasonax. Now, what is seasonality? Seasonality describes recurring market patterns with a high probability of repeating. And when I say that, I'm talking about not specific assets, but it can be stocks, it can be commodities, currencies, can even be crypto. And it's always interesting and good if you know there is an underlying reason for that. So it's not just data, but it is data where you know where the reason for that recurring pattern comes from. And what we try to support you with are easy to use seasonal charts, more or less. Now, what is a seasonal chart? It is based on historical data. We use all the historical data which we have, convert it into a seasonal chart, and this chart helps you to easily identify those interesting areas within that asset. And as mentioned before already, seasonalities can occur in indices, stocks, currencies, commodities, bonds, whichever instrument has enough historical data. And there are different seasonalities which are available. They can be annually, like yearly based, monthly, weekly, even intraday or event based. Today, we will mainly focus on annual or yearly seasonality, because that's the starting point, which is easy to understand. And in the future, of course, you can extend your trading about seasonality in different areas. There's one saying most of you might already know, and I know this saying was said in hundreds of webinars before, but it's a starting point. If you think of sell in May and go away, this is a pattern which is known since the early 30s. It hasn't gone away, it is still there. And what it mainly means is, if you, for example, would go for the Dow Jones, the whole performance within the Dow Jones is created since the 1930s from November to April. There's no performance from May to October, because it mainly was starting with, if you're leaving on holidays in May, nothing happens on the stock market. And if you're coming back in October, then it starts over again. So what you see here is the blue chart shows you the Dow Jones from the 1930s to today from November to April with a performance of more than 3,000% versus May to October, if you've been invested only in that period of the year, with almost no movement at all. So like that saying is known, but we dig deeper today and there's way more seasonality available than you probably can imagine. Now, when we're talking about a seasonal chart, how can you read that? A seasonal chart, and it's the first thing, is not a price chart. A seasonal chart is a chart which displays on average the movement over time, and it always starts at 100%. So what you're seeing here is on the left-hand side, the performance scale is presented in percent, starting at 100%. And then over time, you see on the horizontal axis from January to December, how that specific chart did perform over the year. What you see here in this example is that for some reason, somewhere mid of February, the chart rises to 107.5 or 108%. Then it falls down again, and then there's another rally from mid of October to the end of December. Now, this is an average movement, but it directly helps you to identify that important and interesting areas in a visual way. It's just 2 clicks within the application, you can directly see that movement. Now, what I want to show you within the Seasonax app right now is 2 different things. One is, as already mentioned, how to analyze a single asset within Seasonax. Like we have 25,000 assets, so like lots of playground for you. And the second use case is, okay, there's 25,000 instruments, but I want to know which instrument is interesting right now in a specific market, for example. That's the 2 things I will cover from my end. And then I will hand over to Michał, who will then do the 3rd use case, where he combines Seasonax and AlgoCloud. And therefore, I will now switch directly into the Seasonax application. For those who are not familiar with Seasonax, if you register at seasonax.com, you have a free trial of 30 days. And if you log in, this is mainly the screen of the web application where you can see what the application can do for you. There's several informations, like there is a search bar where you can search for instruments. There's a seasonality screener, which I will address. Then there are interesting patterns which are upcoming within various indices. And on the right-hand side, we do promote, publish on a bi-weekly basis, seasonal insights, which are mainly research articles around various instruments. It's always interesting to sign up for that because there are sometimes tips which might be interesting for you. And additionally, we do release on YouTube news which are trading ideas, which again show you interesting trades which are upcoming, for example. Now, when I talked about use cases, let's imagine a friend of yours tells you that one amazing stock which you should invest into, but you would like to figure out if on a seasonality base that stock would be interesting too. So what you can directly do within Seasonax is you open up that search bar, and in my case, for example, I would go for Fortinet. Like we know cybersecurity is a thing right now. Fortinet is known, it's part of the NASDAQ. And if I click on Fortinet now, instantly I would see a seasonal chart, in this case based on the last 10 years. I can now change the date range, for example, for the last 15 years. And what you would see right now is a seasonal chart, as mentioned before already. It would start at 100%, and it would then show you the average movement over the year. And what you would directly see is, for some reason, Fortinet starts interesting, like there's a little downside in the first days of the year, and then there's an upwards trend. Now, what you can do in Seasonax now is you would mark that area, release the button, and we would directly calculate how this pattern performed in the last 15 years. What you're seeing now is this highlighted pattern results in the following interesting numbers. The returns, for example, in the last 15 years have been 167% as annualized returns. On average, that pattern performed with 16% every year in the last 15 years. Very interesting pattern. For example, if you see that trade later on, for example, you could still figure out, is that trade interesting from February onwards maybe? But I will stick to this first pattern, which starts on the 6th of January and ends on the 2nd of March. And below the chart, you would now see additional information like the cumulative profit, for example, over the last 15 years, and for example, the pattern returns. What you see here again is the returns in 2012, for example, was more than 30%. In 2013, it was 27 and so on. Last year, it was roughly 8%. Now, interesting pattern. What you should always consider is you have to decide, do you think that Fortinet, for example, can have a similar movement this year compared to the last 15 years? So it always makes sense to combine seasonality with additional analysis on your end. The beauty of seasonality is you can apply it to your existing trading strategies, or you can start from seasonality and then apply your analysis on top of that, for example. Now, this is a very easy, straightforward process how you can analyze a single asset. In that case, it was Fortinet now. And the second use case I wanted to show you is jumping back to the start. For example, you don't have a tip, but you want for some reason to invest in the EU. You want to find an interesting pattern today, and you could go for the seasonality screener. This works a little bit different now, but you can choose a market or an indices of your choice. Since Michał will probably go for the S&P later on, I will go for the Stocks Europe 600 in that case, for example. So I have a drop down which I activate, and now I jump into the seasonality screener. What this does now is it calculates all the constituents within the Stocks Europe 600 and gives me a ranked list of those constituents with interesting seasonal opportunities. What I do see here now is the starting date of this trade could be today. I could say, give me the starting date in a week or so, but I will stick to what currently popped up. Seasonax will always calculate different starting dates for you and give you that list as a feedback, as a ranked list, which you can then modify. And sometimes this calculation can take quite a while, especially if nobody did go for this ranking today, for example. Now, what we have here is the market is the Stocks Europe 600. The starting date would be the 29th of January. The exclamation period, which means the data which we used in that case, is the last 15 years. And as a swing trader, I'm looking for a pattern which is interesting for 30 to 60 days, for example. I have my ranked list here now, but on top, I want to only see trades which have a win rate of more than 80%, for example, which means in more than 80% in those 15 years, it was a winning trade. Now, what I would see here is on position 1, for example, I would see Thalys. I think it's, I don't know how to name that, to be honest. We know it's a French company, it's globally acting, it's a defense stock. And what I would see directly here is now for all the constituents now is the annualized return, the average return, median return, and so on. So I could, for example, change the ranking for different numbers like the average return. So I would stick to that instrument now. And if I would now click on it, I would directly jump to the responsive instrument, and I would see the seasonal chart there. Since this pops up a new window in that special case, I will have to type it in, but where I would end up now is the same chart which you saw before, and you would directly see, as mentioned already, starting on the 29th of January, we would see a different seasonal chart now, a different pattern. This one starts on the 29th of January and ends at the 6th of March. And again, I would see the interesting numbers of this trade. Annualized return, 235% in the last 10 years. Average return, 12%, for example. And what you would see here, for example, is you could start that trade later on, for example, because you can optimize it here. And you could say, I would start on the 7th of February based on the visual feedback I got. And you could now still switch between the date range. I did show you 10 years. Now I'm back to 15 years. And again, very stable pattern. And what you would see here, for example, is the pattern returns did change over time. And for example, 2025 was a really good year in that case. You know, defense stocks 2025 did perform pretty well. But what you could do is, for example, you could open up more and could say, I don't want to see all the years of that seasonal chart. Only display me the seasonal chart for based on the last 15 years, but without 2025. And you would adapt that seasonal chart and still see very stable, interesting pattern, which gives you a good insight very quickly with a very precise chart, if that thought could be interesting for you. And this is the way how you could, in the second use case, just pick any interesting market. We could go for the S&P, you could go for NASDAQ, you could go for European indices, for example, or even sectors, and then pick stocks or instruments of your choice. Now, these are two approaches within Seasonax, but what Seasonax doesn't do for you is it doesn't trade for you. Now, the more interesting part maybe for some of you is, if I have that advantage of seasonality, how can I use that maybe combined with different platforms? And that's something I'm looking forward to Michal's presentation now, where he will showcase us how you can use Seasonax combined with AlgoCloud.
Thanks a lot. Great intro to my presentation. Okay, let's talk about how Seasonality Edge can be automated. And in my opinion, this is really a revolution in this space. I would like to start always from the practical, let's say, challenges in seasonality also, because I was trading for seasonality patterns for many years now. And if you like to do it on a very methodological way of working, you need to have some process on top of it. And for example, this is my spreadsheet we are using in the team. We were using, because we are now automated, but before the pattern trading was not automated, and we were trading this kind of spreadsheet, helping us to track which patterns are beginning. Of course, now Seasonax have really excellent tool is called Calendar, and it is very useful for manual trading in my experience, but you need to have some process here. And I know that many of you, I assume that many of you face the same, let's say, challenge, because sometimes you don't have time or discipline to track many signals and use the proper money management, risk management. It is going slowly, and it is really great about seasonality. If you will jump in, for example, to some pattern one day after, it is not a problem usually, but it may cause some, let's say, challenges during the way. The second challenge for me is how can we set up and use seasonality together with some other indicators, let's say. For example, I would like to go into a seasonal pattern, but also together with some breakout signal, or together with some reversal signal, or only if the stock is uptrending, for example, using some moving average. And this is also some challenge, because you need to scan such patterns and at the same time to scan the charts and analyze the charts to have everything in line. And the third one is how can I automate it? Of course, we are living in automation time, and the time is our best friend, let's say. Then we don't need to spend our time too much if we have some automation, and this is all we would like to talk. And the solution, thanks to, let's say, Seasonax and AlgoCloud team's decisions, is to connect two excellent technologies. One is Seasonax, and the second one is, as Christoph mentioned, AlgoCloud. I was the first AlgoCloud user trading the real money a few years ago, started few years ago. The platform is relatively new, but at the same time, it is definitely mature. And the two excellent technologies are now connected through the API. And I will show you the use cases, how can we use it. But behind the AlgoCloud technology, there is a company, well-known company in the, let's say, quant industry, automated trading industry. It is Strategy Quant. The team is from Czech Republic, and they are doing really great job in this space. Okay, what is the AlgoCloud? First of all, it is easy, no-code strategy creation platform. You can, in few using ready-to-use blocks, few hundred blocks you have to use them. You can create your strategy and backtest them. You can connect the broker. You can have historical and live data built in. Historical, I mean, you can backtest your strategies not only on current, let's say, S&P 500 constituents, but you can also backtest on the past data and past, let's say, delisted stocks. It is important to avoid survivorship bias in such backtesting. Then we have historical and also live data. AlgoCloud is trading on daily time frame only, and this is good in my experience. This is really the average trader should focus. But you can use also live data to have some such extra capabilities here. And backtest is not only on single instruments, but also on the entire stock universes. And I will show you these examples in a while. And we are working on daily time frame, but AlgoCloud have really powerful capabilities to work also with live data. And AlgoCloud, for example, 3 minutes after market is opening, knows exact open prices of all, for example, S&P 500 stocks, or almost all. And the same on bar close, few minutes before market is closing, AlgoCloud knows exact data, and you can use this data combining with your strategies and your strategy rules. And of course, it is excellent news that we are connected. We can connect AlgoCloud with Seasonax and the Seasonax Edge Screener that Christoph showed. Okay, what are the 3 use cases from my perspective? I would like to show you the simple seasonal pattern automation. I would like to show you how can you combine the seasonal pattern together with technicals in your automated strategy, step by step. And the most important part, in my opinion, is the seasonal edge in the stock picking strategy. This is something new for many of you, I assume, but it is really powerful concept and not so difficult to deploy at the end of the day. I will start from Seasonax perspective, and I will show you one pattern. It is starting just now. Let's say we are at the beginning of February, and we would like to exploit such pattern, this EQT, really a nice pattern. It is starting from February, let's say 8, and it is finishing on May. This is 25 years. We can examine the same pattern in different time frames. The pattern is really stable. It has some outliers, and we can, for example, remove such outliers. It was 2020 and 2022 maybe, but the pattern is still stable. Then I would like to automate such pattern. And here I will introduce AlgoCloud. Okay. I will introduce AlgoCloud. We don't have too much time to introduce the whole platform. This is not the topic of our session today. I would like to show you on a few but very important features here. One is the single asset strategy creation, and the second one is Stockpicker strategy creation and deploying to the live trading. Of course, you can connect in your live trading, you connect the broker, for example. I can highly recommend to start and try the Alpaca. It's really powerful broker for US market. I'm European citizen, but Alpaca is available for us also, and it is focused. The broker focused on algorithmic trading, very low costs also there. But let's start from the strategy perspective, and let's create from scratch a strategy based on that pattern on EQT. Okay, and what are the rules we need to focus? We have this single asset here, this stock, and we know now, for example, that we would like to start this pattern on February 9 or 8 and exit after, let's say, after 70 days. And we see this number, 70 trading days. It is important number to automate something like this. Let's start from scratch, and I will show you in few simple steps how you can automate such pattern. Step number one is the month. Let's define the month, and in our case, the month is February, okay? And I can say February. But to start building such algo, very simple algo, it is good starting point is to start with some concept when we would like to place the order. And I can recommend at the beginning, if you are using the market orders, then just go and take the trade, to use on bar close statement. On bar close for entry and on bar close for exit, because the market spread is the lowest few minutes before the market is closing. And that's why we can use, if we are using market orders, these statements to start trading, just like that. In this case, if you are using on bar close, AlgoCloud knows the today's price, today's closing price. It is estimated closing price because we are working few minutes before market is closing. And in this case, today, we should always use 0. 0 means today. 1 means 1 day before, okay? That's it. Today is February. This is the condition number 1. And the condition number 2 is related to day. We can search for a day, bar day of month, 0, because today is above, for example, 8. Is it true? Okay, let's check it. For example, it was this pattern. We can see that it started on 9th, for example. We can say 8 is okay. And the last condition is to exit after number of bars, trading days, okay? And in our case, we can examine this information, have this information exactly from Seasonax. We see we should exit this after 70 days. Long-term pattern, but I can tell you that's it. This is the whole procedure of such pattern creation, okay? And what can we do now? Of course, we can save it to our strategies, and we'll get this in our strategies. We can save it to file. Also, we can have such file of strategy to use it further. But we can also start trading just like that. Let's say we will name it, it will be EQT. Of course, before we will do it, we need to test it, of course. And let's go to EQT. Let's pick our time, tested time. Let's say it was from 2000 till today. We can add the commission. If you will use Alpaca, for example, for such there is no commission inside Alpaca, but we need to assume some spread costs and additional costs. Then I always, in market orders, I always assume 0.1%. And we can use money management for such test and just run a full backtest. In a few clicks, you have the whole history, and you can see that the pattern is ending on May on a regular basis. We can see the results when the pattern is finished. Trade by trade perspective, we can see here. Of course, the general overview, we can see also here, the equity chart, and many other, let's say, additional information you can find inside the overview, okay? But if you like to trade something like this, you can just click here, save, for example, EQT, it will be Feb, May. And you can deploy such strategy in a few easy steps. You can pick your account and you can deploy the strategy using, for example, percentage-based money management. In our case, it could be, for example, 5% to allocate 5% of such of our capital in this single instrument. We can click next and next. Finally, it's to see what is the very simple code here, and now we can start trading such strategy just like that. Of course, we can combine also this very simple pattern with other conditions. You can pick from the about 70 different indicators from the list, but we will keep it simple. Let's say we would like to have the close price of today above the simple moving average of 200 to confirm our trend. That trend is up. Close is above 200-day simple moving average. That's it. And of course, adding such condition, we can backtest our strategy. Definitely the number of trades will be lower. But of course, we can test this pattern also before 2000. We are testing it before. And if we like, we can add such extra conditions to our strategies. We can also refer to another chart. This is a bit more advanced topic, but it is very useful. For example, if we can use SPY, it is S&P 500 ETF, SPY.D, as a reference point, we have now two charts in one strategy. And I would like to copy this condition, duplicate it, and also say that the SPY must be also above 200-day moving average. So simple is that. Few steps, and we have conditions on our stock now, and we have also conditions on the index, that the index must be above 200-day moving average. Okay, and I would like to show you another example of single asset pattern when you should be a bit aware what you are coding while using such pattern. For example, we are using now pattern on booking. Here is a booking, and let's assume it is the very short pattern we would like to automate. The pattern is only 13 trading days. Okay, let's go to our creator. And I created new single asset strategy here, and I would like to do the same. Yeah, bar month of today will be February. We will switch it to on bar close and on bar close statement. Then today will be February. Okay, 0, always 0, and the day, bar day of month, is let's say the pattern started on February 6th or something like this, okay? It's above 5. Great. But we are exiting after 13 bars. Okay, let's set up the booking. Okay, no commissions for now, it is not a problem. And we can see that number of trades is significantly higher now. Why is that? Because we have the very simple condition. One condition is February, and the second condition that it is above the fifth day of the month. And what AlgoCloud is doing now, it is starting on 7th, for example, because it was a weekend, for example, and we started on Monday, but we finished our pattern before the end of the month in some cases. In this case, it was the end of the pattern was 25th. Then AlgoCloud started the pattern, the rules again on the next day or on the next Monday. Then we need to add also some extra condition. So we can just duplicate it. And it should be lower than, for example, 10th, okay? We would like to take only this very short window, and that's it. And this way of checking is very important in your development process because you need to understand what's going on. But in my opinion, this pattern programmed in few simple steps is ready to use as an example. You can maybe save this file to your strategies, and only the next time you can only adjust the month and starting dates using like that, and of course exit after. And this is the very simple way of automating single patterns. Do you have any questions here, Christoph?
I love easy workflows, and for me it looks like something which can be applied pretty easy. And I guess if you play around, you can very simply set up a first strategy.
Yes, that's true. Of course, you need to play with it and try on the demo account and confirm everything. But having such workflow and such tool is really powerful. It is not requiring any programming skills. It is only requiring very basic math to understand the rules and to program the rules. And this is really powerful, and you can use it many different ways.
I think that's where we both match, because like in Seasonax, we think the same way. We give all the data for the users. They don't have to be mathematical geniuses, and they can still apply seasonality. And the same goes for AlgoCloud.
Yes, that's true. Okay, then let's move to a bit more advanced topic, because we were in the very, let's say, basic space of single asset. And now I would like to move to another example, but before we will go to Stockpicker, let's say, per se, I would like to make a challenge, let's say, or exercise together, okay? I'm now in trading view, and this is the replay mode. Then we can play from the historical point of view, and I will show you some strategy idea. The idea was published by very famous traders, Larry Connors. It was the RSI tool. RSI indicator, well known since 80s, but Larry Connors published this concept of RSI tool about 20 years ago. And we have a lot of time to check the out of sample period here, how the strategy is behaving. This is the RSI tool you see here, and we are playing about, this is one ticker, APD. Let's check this one using Seasonax. APD. Okay, and this one is having really nice pattern, let's say from October we can call it till the end of the year. We can spot now that the last year, 2025, was negative, but if we would start using it not today, but a year before, we don't know the results of 2025. And this is our exercise now, how we can play another way with such seasonal patterns, okay? Okay, let's switch to the chart. Let's assume we are now we are starting October, and the pattern is starting from the October, let's say 4th till the end of year, okay? I marked this moment on the chart, and we can play day by day how the pattern is developing, okay? We have now October 1st, it is October 6th, then definitely we would start something like this, okay? But we will add now another rules to our seasonal patterns. Let's assume that the seasonality is showing now us the window, and the window is marked on the screen. But we have also the rules that we need to be below RSI. This is the oscillator I see down. And we need to be, the day before should be below RSI 10. And we can see this one, and it will be some exit condition here, and entry condition, sorry. And for exit condition, we will take the 70 level, okay? Let's play. We don't have yet. Yes, we have signal. It was 10, above 10, and this day we are having below 10. And what we will do, the next day we will place the limit order a bit, it is quantified a bit below the open price. Okay, let's play. Yes, the limit order was filled in this case, and we will go further. And please remember, the exit condition is when the RSI will close above 70, okay? Yes, not yet. Yes, we have the condition now. It is a losing trade. This is trading, nothing bad here. We have a losing trade here. This is the first losing trade. But we will move forward. Okay, and this is the second time when we have the conditions on this instrument. Okay, let's assume we are entering here, but we will enter the next day after the open, a bit below the open. We can define this such way, okay? The open was here. We entered the trade a bit below the open price. Okay, we are going further, and now, boom, we have the condition of RSI. RSI is above 70, then we are exiting this trade. Okay, this is the trade number 2. We are using the same window. The wind is up, but the stock is in general trading down, trending down. Okay, okay, let's go forward. We are waiting, we are in the same time, we are trading different symbols, by the way. And this is what Stockpicker is doing. It is picking only the symbols, they are having conditions now. And for example, we can check it now. Yes, the RSI is below, because we have here, you can spot it here. We have something about 9. Then we will place also the limit order. And the limit order will be below our next open price. Let's check it. Yes, it will be about here. And our exit condition, yes, our exit condition is here. Then we can mark the third time that we have some entry condition here and exit condition here. And we have the second trade positive in this example. Yes, and we have the third one. The fourth one, sorry. and we would enter below the open price, something like this. Yes. No exit condition? Yes. Here we have the exit conditions here, and this is our next example of the next trade, okay? And you can spot now, do we will have any other signals? No, we have no entry conditions. Yes, and this is the window end of year from October 1st or October 4th in our example till the end of year. And this example, this is the example of losing trade on the seasonality, let's say, part, because if we will take such trade based only on the seasonal patterns, it would be a losing trade, and we would lose in this case about 8 or 9%. But the same pattern we can use another way, and we had one losing trade. It was about 2%, 2.5% maybe. The second was positive one. It was above 5%. The third one is also positive one, above 2%. And the fourth one, sorry, is about 4% in plus. It is about 10% plus trading this way instead of picking only the single instrument. Of course, it was a negative example in terms of seasonality. In my seasonality trading, the general win rate is above 70%, but the losing trades definitely will happen, and this is the part of the game. And how to do it together with the stock picker approach. And it was only the, let's say, a bit longer intro to what the stock picker strategy is and what stock picker strategy can do for you, okay? Because you can see here, for example, that we can easily program such rules. RSI is below 10, and for example, close is above 200 day or not. And the RSI is above 70, it is very easy, and we will show it in a while, okay? But what the stock picker strategy is doing, it is one strategy which is trading on the group of stocks, because we had only this one example, but in the meantime you saw that for the most of the time the money you had engaged in your trading was not used. And that's why stock picker can take another signals also on another assets in your group, okay? We can define the max open positions. This is very important because we can define that the max open position in such strategy is, for example, 10, and you will not take more signals than 10 or 15 or 20 at the same time, okay? You need to define the position score, because, and I will cover the position score part in a while, but what is important, we will backtest it on current and historical index constituents, historical index stocks. And my tip is that this way of backtesting is general a robust way, more robust way than the single asset approach. Okay, and what is the position score? The position score is a measure we need to define to tell stock picker which stocks to pick. Because if you will scan, for example, the Seasonax screener for now, you will see that in S&P 500 we will have about 300 stocks. They are having some kind of patterns, okay? Then we will pick only the number of stocks they are the best for this kind of strategy, and we can define the position score in different ways. I will show you some example in a while, but in our case this is just the way of sorting the stocks of the best of some kind of best peak ranking method, and we will take on the top 10 stocks and a given time, okay, to adjust and to be sure that our money management and risk is set up properly. Okay, and now we can go back to and I will load our example strategy exactly with the rules we've discussed before. Okay, this is maybe some extra condition, we don't need it, but it is our example. When then we can add it, of course, if you like. RSI 2 of day before must be below 10. This is the condition number 1. The condition number 2, the stock must be above SMA 220. This is something we can play with it. And how we can go into the market. We can pick, of course, market order, but I like to use, at the beginning of the market, I like to use limit orders, and we will use today's open minus 0.3 ATR. You can pick 0.2, 0.25 or 0.3. We can, the backtest will show us the results, okay? This order will be valid for 1 bar only, and we will exit after the RSI is above 70 or after 15 bars, no longer than 15 bars. And the position score part is here. In this strategy, we would like to have not more than 10 positions at the same time. And the position score in this case is defined like ROC. ROC is the rate of change indicator, how much the stock is extended to the downside in this case in last 14 days. We will take the stocks they dropped most in this period, okay? And let's make the backtest. We can make the backtest using, for example, S&P 500. On the pure strategy, we need to add the condition, and in this example it will be 0.5. I also recommend, if you are using limit orders, to use these settings, allow better fill and limit over this a bit advanced setting. And we can use fixed money management or check this single strategy without seasonality now. We are checking the strategy on the all S&P 500 stocks and also all historical stocks. They were in the index, inside the index, during this very long, over 30 years period, okay? And this single strategy generated over 10,000 trades in the history. We can see all the details, of course, here. The list of trades, the overview, everything you will find there. And this is the way of building strategies with some robust way. Of course, robust way means for me that you can play also with the settings. The strategy will hold also when you will switch, for example, this to 200-day moving average instead of 220. It will hold also if you will use, for example, RSI 3 instead of RSI 2. It will hold also if you will pick, it should hold, if you will pick, for example, not 10 but 5 or 15. It should hold also if you will pick, for example, not 70 but 65 or 75 in this case. It should hold also if you will pick, for example, not S&P 500 stocks, but for example, all S&P 100 stocks or NASDAQ 100 stocks. It will be not the same, as you see. The equity chart is different, but at the end of the day, it should be profitable and it should be similar parameters in terms of, for example, winning percent. Okay? Do you have any questions, Christoph, to this part?
I think one thing I like that you mentioned that, because there will always be losing trades. And like we and AlgoCloud give the users a statistical edge. That's why you shouldn't be feared by just one negative trade. But as you described, it happens, but you improve parts of the strategy which comes from Seasonax, for example. And I would always recommend not purely going on seasonality, but combining it. And I like the way you're doing that inside of AlgoCloud.
Yes, okay. And now maybe this is the good time to start and to introduce really the game-changing feature, because such capabilities are really great. You can find the way of trading, and you can find the way of searching for edges this way. It is much more robust way than trading with single assets, if you can backtest it on so many instruments at the same time. But at the same moment, you can improve your edge using seasonality inside AlgoCloud. Okay, and how to do it? We have a new feature in the stock groups. Okay, let's go to the stock groups now. You can see, for example, that in stock groups you have the stock groups like, for example, S&P 500, Russell 3000, or another groups. At the moment, they are only US markets available. But if you will be interested, I hope many users will join us from Europe also. Then I will vote also for to add to this data also European companies. But we will add and create the dynamic group from Seasonax. And this is the game changer feature, in my opinion, because we can use your screener inside AlgoCloud. This is the Seasonax screener. We have, for example, S&P 500 stocks, and we will define all the, let's say, filters you mentioned during your presentation. Okay, the same story here. We will define, for example, S&P 500, win rate above 60, okay? But I will pick the dynamic group from Seasonax. Okay, it looks similar, I see, yeah? We can pick from, for example, for now we can pick S&P 500 stocks, NASDAQ stocks, and Dow Jones stocks, long or short, and the start date, pattern start date, examination period, the same fields like in Seasonax, and time period. And we can pick, for example, win rate above 60, okay? We can add more filters here. And most important part from your screener are also available here. But for now, keep it simple. Win rate above 60, that's it. I created a stock group. Okay, the group was saved, and now we can check the details here. We can see all the details, and we can see the stocks inside the group. Let's check together. Are the stocks the same like in Seasonax now? Okay, we are in Seasonax screener, S&P 500. Start date is now. Examination period is 20 years. Time period the same. Okay, we have about 318 patterns, and in our case the number is very similar. The first one is NRG, okay, and the last one in our case is this one. Let's check it together. Yes, we have the same. Then the group is the same. Group is really the same. We have the change log. Then every time something will change inside the group, you will have the log and all the information needed. But the most important part, if we would like to start trading such strategy, we can pick now not only the S&P 500 stocks, but also our stocks, the win rate above 60, and this is the group we just created. And the most powerful part here is that this is the dynamic group. Then every time, For example, tomorrow, I would like to say that I need to add also another conditions. We would like to have not such, let's say, patterns with a negative return. But this is easy to solve. You need to add one extra condition to the group, and you can do it after deploying, after deploying also. But you can pick the traded instrument S&P 500 win rate above 60, and this is from Seasonax. And now we can start trading the strategy this way and see all the results in changing group, yeah, because the group will change every day, and we will trade open the new trades based on that changing behavior of that group. I know this is maybe a bit complicated at the beginning, but believe me, it is not so complicated. But everyone who is interested in such way of trading need to be familiar with such tools. I can tell you only that this is the simplest way you will find in this, let's say, algorithmic space to do so. Do you have any questions maybe to such approach, Christoph?
Not for now, but I'm already starting. I did start already trying and playing around with it, and as a not mathematic guy, just a basic trader, I would say the approach is pretty easy to figure it out as soon as you saw an introduction like this.
Great to hear. Okay. I can say this is the new feature. Definitely, it is something really new. I can show you maybe a few examples. What is AlgoCloud here, or we can because we have excellent news also in terms of onboarding for you. The AlgoCloud team prepared really powerful videos to help you on board in this platform. It is not so complicated if you will do it step by step, and this is something really nice. And maybe we can finish this part of presentation for now and tell people more about next steps.
Sure.
What do you think?
Thanks for the introduction into those different use cases within AlgoCloud, and we both know it's a pretty new feature, so it's the first time showing it around. On the Seasonax side, we did set up a landing page with basic information around that process too, and you can find that information on seasonax.com/algocloud, where we want to help users from our end to directly switch over to AlgoCloud and give it a try. And as you already mentioned, it's a pretty new feature, and since you will add new videos to understand this could be the first step to just get into algo trading in combination with Seasonality. And with the additional videos, I think it's pretty easy to give it a first try. And as far as I know, you can give it a try in alpaca trading, for example, with paper money too in the first step, right?
Yes, that's sure. And this is a definitely recommended step to start doing it with demo account. I can tell you that for my trading, I started first experiments in separated account, demo account for now. And I started trading since beginning of January using Seasonax screener. And for now, we have 90% of win rate, 30 trades closed. 27 are closed with the positive result. But of course, this is nothing. I'm combining this with my two reversal strategies for now. But definitely this approach and this edge is something I will add to my trading this year on more mass scale. And you are invited to test it by yourself, because thanks to your Seasonax and Seasonax decisions, this will be available for everybody who will use the link and start trading, start experimenting with free AlgoCloud account using your link in the description. Okay.
And thanks for approaching us, because that's the reason why we're there. We try to enable users using Seasonality in whichever platform. And I love the combination with AlgoCloud at the moment. And I think it's a first step from us in that direction. And we're looking forward for feedback from ours and yours users, of course. So if any questions pop up in the onboarding process or in using it, feel free to reach out to our support or to the Algo Trader support, because that's something where we learn from your feedback. And we try to make this happen for you and support the best way possible. And if you feel like something was not covered in the webinar and the videos, just reach out to one of us.
Okay, great. And the good news is that you will get also the strategies inside, because we will prepare some strategies for you, waiting for you. If you will use the link, the Seasonax link, to establish the AlgoCloud account, you will get the strategies inside the Seasonax folder in AlgoCloud, and also the Seasonax screener integrated. You will get the mini course how to start with AlgoCloud, and the AlgoCloud team will establish also the Discord channel to chat with people, chat and answer your questions if you will have any questions to the onboarding process.
Thanks for the time you spent with the webinar and the deep dive into this combination. And just to make sure everybody finds the sources which are available, if you want to unlock the power of seasonality within AlgoCloud, just go to www.seasonax.com/AlgoCloud, and you will find additional information plus the registration link from our end. And as already mentioned, if there is any questions coming up, feel free to reach out to us at any time.
Okay, thank you for today.
Thanks, Michał. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
The same to you. Thanks again.
Have a nice day. Talk to you soon.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.